Welcome back. You're still watching Business Morning on Channels Television. And just before we went on that quick break, I told you our conversation on the program today will be focused on the power sector and the ongoing reforms to make sure that Nigerians have enough electricity, at least generation of enough electricity for all Nigerians. And we know what's really been happening. Well, to take a look at some of the issues that have actually come up in this process, I'm being joined on the program by the former chairman of the Engineering and Construction Group of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Engineer Adekola Adedeji, and also he's a member of the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, Ikeja Zone. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much.
Well, let's just start with your general assessment and what organized, private sector feels about this recent reforms in the power sector.
Well, there's no doubt about that. It's a welcome idea, and everybody's excited in the sector, the organized private sector, on what is happening. Talk from MAN, that's Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, the other organized private sector, in the commerce and industry. It's a welcome development, and everybody's excited, looking for the dividends of all these reforms which are taking place. The sector is excited by more and more power generating plants being installed, being commissioned by the government, and also the reforms. This idea of allowing private sector, companies to manage the former companies being controlled and managed by government.
So the privatization of the PHCN, was it a good idea? Is that what we should have done? Couldn't we have possibly gotten managers instead of having organized private sector take over the PHCN?
I think the option we have is the best in the circumstance. In fact, this idea of getting managers, in the past that have been experienced in some other sectors of the economy, like steel industry, we never got anything out of them. It was bloody waste of time, and you realize, even telecoms industry too, the experience there has not been quite pleasant. You just discovered that money, went down the drain and nothing to show for the management. So maybe out of corruption or whatever other factors, there's nobody that can build your country for you. You have to do it yourself.
Yeah, but then to outrightly sell these plants was a wise one. That's what a lot of people are asking. Was it a good plan to sell them outrightly? Why didn't we just call in professional managers to come and manage these plants instead of outrightly selling them like we've done?
Thank you. Everywhere in the world, companies, strategic companies are managed better by the private sector. Why? Very simple. In the private sector, you can minimize corruption. In the private sector, performances have to be results-oriented. But it's not necessarily the case. When government agencies handle, these companies, everybody's business is nobody's business. Whereas in the private sector, people are given targets. You've got to show, that you are relevant in the system, and the result has to, to justify your being there.
So why doesn't it have to be?
It's not the same thing.
Okay, so why don't you just contract it on,
That's what I'm saying. That option has been considered in the past, and we have nothing to show for it. You remember what happened with the steel industry sector, where we got some from India or whatever, to manage the steel plants. At the end of the day, we wasted a lot of money and nothing to show for it. The same thing happened in the railway sector. The same thing happened in telecom sector during the time of Atiku Abasojo regime. All these things are there for us to see that it's not worth that option.
All right. So now with the privatization,
best option is what we have on ground now, and there's no doubt about it. It's the best option.
Well, with the privatization now, with the selling of these assets, the country made, the federal government made as much as
$3 billion.
Almost 400 billion.
Well, so the last count, $3 billion.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you look at that amount of money, these monies are supposed to go to government coffers.
Yes.
Is it going to be used for something still in terms of electricity generation, in terms of, probably putting those infrastructure in place just before these people actually, because they've already taken over it. So what happens to these monies?
Well, the options are there. The last we had was that governments want to use the money as much as possible to settle the PHCN workers. The bill is there, the workers are still not they're not yet in the mood to cooperate with the new owners of the companies. Okay? But to encourage them, they need to be paid off their entitlements. So, and I think what the government is considering at the moment is to use the bulk of this money to settle these workers so that they can cooperate in the handing over, of the companies in terms of
which was their grievance in the first place. That's the PHCN
workers. Because they've not got their entitlements. They need to be paid off.
Okay, so now you pay. How much are you going to take? How much are you? Are we expecting the government to take out of this money to pay off the emoluments? Because we're judging by the workforce. How much? In fact, let's even start with that. How much? How many people do we have working in all PHCN facilities across the country? Estimated.
I'm not too sure of the exact figure, but less than 40,000 workers have to be paid off.
Okay.
And if I'm not mistaken, you may almost use the whole money to pay them off.
The whole money?
Yes, almost.
So if that happens, then what has the government gained from the selling off
Very good.
the assets?
The gains may not be immediate, but what matters most is the future, where we're going. You don't look at the immediate benefits, you look at the future benefits and the multiplier effect on the economy as a whole. That's what we're looking at. So you don't look at the immediate gain, you project into the future and see, what we call net present value of what you're doing.
So when eventually the government settles, the PHCN workers, what happens to them? Will they be reintegrated by these new companies that have bought over the assets, or will they be laid off? And then if that happens, we have a crisis on our hands. We have unemployment rates rising again, which is what the federal government should be thinking of bringing down. Well,
I think the issue of laying off is not really the target. The important thing is, the workers who will be there, who will eventually be retained, to perform. Once you perform and you show that you can work like you work in the private sector, not necessarily as a government official, and you're doing your work the way it should be done, the issue of layoff should not really be the thing to be bothered about. The important thing is performance. We need a lot of human capital in the industry. Okay? I want to believe that the target, the strategy of these companies will be how to really train and retrain those who are on ground, okay, to be able to meet the challenges ahead.
Okay, so I'll take your word for that. But
that's my take on the situation.
On the situation.
Yeah.
But there's another issue that is a sore spot with everybody, including organized private sector as well as the general consumer. The increase in electricity tariff. Now, not a lot of people are very happy about. Is it justified that this tariff should be increased just before we begin to see an improvement in electricity supply to homes?
Now, you see, the way to illustrate, to make people understand in this matter is look at the issue with the GSM. Okay? When it first came on board, people were paying almost 100,000 to get a cell phone. Today, that's to get the what do you call it?
The SIM.
The SIM, okay? But today, with less than 200 naira, you can get it. How did that happen? Because of competition. You're able to entice investors to come into the economy and do the business. And that's able to to achieve that goal. If that had not been the case, we have been lamenting, it's costing 100,000, why should we allow the private people to take it? We wouldn't have moved the way we have moved. But these companies
had already come in. They were the ones that were given these tariffs, even before the drop that we've witnessed over time.
They've not come in. Some of these reforms were the things that really enticed them to come. Before, nobody wanted to touch anything power, because it was unattractive. When you do business, your aim, your strategy is to make profit. But the way things were before, nobody wanted to touch the sector. But they had to be attracted. You can see people coming from all parts of the world, from America, from Russia, from China. Everybody's struggling now.
And so to make it more attractive, they have to increase the tariff.
Like I told you, we should not be bothered about increasing the tariff. What matters most is where we're going. What is it going to cost in the next 3 years? Okay?
That's too long for Nigerians. Everybody wants to see something done
now. But the important thing is to, to have a softer landing eventually. What does it profit you? If you keep on saying, we should not increase the tariff, we should not increase the tariff, and the next year, government cannot handle it very well, and the tariff goes up, what are we going to do? But it's almost certain that it cannot get worse. It can only get better. That's the thing. And so, that's what we should look at.
Okay, because you just said that if it doesn't happen now, and then next year the government can't...
No, I'm saying if we are not going, taking that option, it's okay. Don't allow the private people to do it. Let government keep doing it. It's like postponing the evil day.
Okay, so now that the PHCN has been successfully unbundled,
yes,
will the tariff drop at least before they kick in, before they start doing their own work? Because according to the president, we should start seeing some form of improvement in electricity supply by the first quarter of next year. But just before that time comes, will these tariffs be dropped to begin to make the consumer feel comfortable or happy that the reforms have actually taken place, and it's for the better good and not for somebody's pockets like they're thinking?
Yeah, I think we have to get our facts right, our priorities right. You see, there are two issues here. First thing is, how regular is the power you are getting? The second factor is, how much am I paying? But I believe that most business people, the hairdressers, the welders, even the hospitals, to be able to do proper surgery operations, what they want is regular electricity supply. That's the first priority. Okay? Right now, I'm telling you, you'll be more concerned. You pick up your phone call, you get through, you can make your call. Okay? Anytime. That's of priority to you than even say maybe you are buying your credit card for whatever price. But that's exactly what is happening. So the priority now is getting regular, steady supply, efficient system. And what government is saying is this: where we are now, more and more power plants are being built. We're just about, maybe installed generating capacity now, it's about, let me say, 40,000 megawatts. In fact, I don't even like to use the word megawatt, I use giga. Because in the world scale, other countries are talking of gigawatt generation. We keep on talking of mega. For your understanding, in 1 gigawatt, you have 1,000 megawatts. So, in the world scale, where a country like US is producing about 1,000 gigawatts installed capacity, we are talking of 4 here. Where a country like Japan, they are generating almost 998 giga, and we are talking about 4 here. Russia. So what I'm saying is this: even India is about 200, and we are talking about 4 here. So we need to build more and more of these plants to be able to develop our economy like the others, and which is the main target.
Well, it seems as if...
so government is saying they are building, the president has commissioned Geregu, that's about 400 and something megawatts. The commissioner Motosho, they are commissioning more. Malawi should go, the other one in Sapele, they have more and more are coming in the next quarter of the year. So when we have more of these plants, so you can imagine in the next, maybe by 2014, we should be talking about maybe 8 to 10 gigawatts.
You're a member of the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission.
And the forum, yes, I represent them. Yeah.
Okay. And you would understand that a lot of people are unhappy when you don't get regular power supply, electricity supply, but then you have to pay more money.
Yeah.
Now, it seems there's this debate, and I don't know how true this is. There's this debate that the NERC seems to be more concerned about the investors than the consumers.
You see, at the beginning, earlier in this program, I told you, I said people in the private sector were not attracted to the industry. And that's the essence of this reform we're talking about. The reform of 2005. The awesome package is that we need to bring in the private sector to do this business. This business is not government business. Those who know how to do it well, with minimum corruption, with minimum wastages, let them come on board. That was the sole purpose of that reform.
The only reason why a lot of people, sorry, Engineer Kola, the only reason why a lot of people will be excited about these reforms is if they begin to see some light before they get to the end of the tunnel. We're looking at medium to long term. Everybody needs power now. Everybody needs electricity now to do their business, to run their business, to keep their homes, to manage their offices, and the likes of it. But then they're not seeing it, and then they have to now still pay more money for what they are not even seeing. And then we keep talking about the reforms, and the NERC is stroking our backs and patting our backs and telling us that, hey, it's going to be okay. We had to do this because we needed to bring in more investors. But that's not what they want to hear.
You see, I do not totally agree with you. If you talk to 10 Nigerians, okay, I'm almost sure that 7 out of 10 will say, look, particularly business people, will say, look, I'm more interested in getting regular supply. Okay? Is the power there? Or what use is it to you? When you pay low and the power is not there, you're not getting anything. But let the thing be there. You can pay maybe something now, but you can rest assured that price is not likely to go up, it's likely to go down because of competition. You need competition to get to where you want to go. We have seen it in other sectors. Let's be patient and see what's going to happen in this sector we're talking about. That's the power sector. We're enjoying communication now. If you're not taking the pains earlier on, we will not be where we are. And it can even be cheaper by the time the power sector reform becomes very effective. We will pay less for your GSM and what have you. And it will affect almost all phases of the economy.
Well, we're going to take a quick break now, Engineer Adekola, and then when we come back, we're going to continue this conversation. There's this other debate as well as regards the technical issues, particularly transmission. So we'll talk more about all of that in just a moment. You're still watching Business Morning on Channels Television. We're broadcasting live from Lagos, Nigeria today. On the program, our conversation is on the power sector reform, and we're looking at PHCN issues. I have here with me in the studio the former chairman, Engineering and Construction Group of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Engineer Adekola Adedeji, and he happens to also be a member of the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission in Ikeja Zone. As a forum member, that is. Well, the conversation will continue in just a moment. Please join us again.